Good evening, everybody, from the campus of Compton High School here in Compton, California. Footage.com presents the game of the week. Tonight's contest features the Jackrabbits of Long Beach Poly and the Tarbabes of Compton. Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Farnham alongside Daryl Rudeau. And Daryl, this game has added significance this year when you look at the Moore League standings and where the teams are at right now. 8-0 Compton, taking on 7-1 Long Beach Poly.
Sean, did I hear you right say that Compton is 8-0? Not since 1979 has Compton had so much to play for. This game has tremendous implications, and I'm sure we'll discuss them as the night progresses.
Yeah, certainly not only implications in the Moore League, but also when you look at maybe a state playoff berth, sectional championships. Both of these teams have high goals. For Long Beach Poly, this is not something new. They've been in one of the elite schools in all of Southern California, in fact, all of the nation when it comes to high school football. They've produced more players to the NFL, and certainly you, as a Long Beach Poly alumni, you know what this program is all about.
And what makes this game so exciting tonight is that Poly does have that tradition, that camaraderie. They know what it means to win. But on the other side, over there, Compton Tarbabes are starting to establish something, and they're learning how to win. And tonight, they certainly feel like this is a game that they can not only win, but they expect to win.
Calvin Bryan, in his fourth season at the helm for Compton High School, has got the program somewhere they've never been before. Raul Laura, well, it's business as usual. You're always expected to be amongst the elite. Their only blemish thus far came in week 2 of the season against Milton Knox and Birmingham High School, one of the best teams in Southern California this year. They loaded from top to bottom. Long Beach Poly trying to ease the pain of that loss because it's a program that never likes to lose.
And despite the 7-1 record, the one blemish you just mentioned, Compton Tarbabes understand that the road to the Moore League Championship does run through Long Beach Poly. Not since 1994 has Poly lost a Moore League game, accumulated 71 consecutive victories. I contributed and participated in 20 of those victories, but tonight they definitely have their hands filled.
Yeah, it's going to be a great environment, as you can tell. Sold-out crowd capacity here tonight on the campus of Compton, California. Compton, by the way, will receive the kick and get their first crack at Long Beach Poly. When you look also inside this game, and we'll touch on this throughout the night, really some great Division I prospects. Some guys have already committed, one to UCLA, but we'll talk about both teams because, as always, these two teams are loaded with talent.
Collectively and combined, the LA County, in particular, Compton and Long Beach, has always been saturated with talent.
And here's the kickoff, and this one's going to go in the end zone, and Compton will get the ball at the 20 to get things started. We have a late penalty being thrown on the field. That one's going to go against Long Beach Poly for some of the extracurricular activities on the kickoff.
And Sean, this is a game where the tensions will flare due in large of the fact that these two teams are not only separated within the Moore League, but also by districts and boundaries. So these are guys that are quite familiar with one another, and tonight I don't think there will be any love lost.
Well, when you talk about Compton's offense, you have to start with their tailback, Donald Green, the senior, 5'6", 148, but he's averaging 13 yards per carry, has 20 touchdowns on the season, has already broken 1,600 yards. He's going to get the ball early and often. He is the main focus of Compton's offense.
And rightfully so. And tonight, Compton offensively will feature somewhat of a wing T set. This is something that they've implemented throughout their Pop Warner program and in the younger divisions, and they run it to perfection.
Bernard Griffin at quarterback. The pitch in the backfield. The Poly defensive line all over him in the backfield, and that's one of the things you have to be aware of when you face Long Beach Poly. It's one thing to run against, Wilson or Jordan. It's a different thing when you face Long Beach Poly.
The Poly has tremendous speed, and they play with great leverage. So tonight, the Tarbabes offensively, the misdirection and counter may not be as effective as running straight at Poly, punching them in the mouth and saying tonight is going to be a long night.
And that's Jarrell Casey getting in the backfield, making the stop right there. He's probably the top defensive tackle prospect in all of the state. He's got numerous offers from across the country, USC, Oregon, Nebraska, Ole Miss, just to name a few. Making a big play that time. Oh, the ball carrier gets through the middle and breaks it off. That's a first down for Compton. The misdirection there, consistency in their offense. That's one of the things that could cause problems tonight for Long Beach Poly, but a big pickup.
And again, right up the middle goes Finn's Hardnet. And that's something that the misdirection can confuse you. So it's very important Poly defensively reads their keys. But to further your point about Gerard Casey, I had an opportunity to speak with him yesterday, Sean, and he mentioned that after this game, he'll wake up in the morning and head out to Eugene, Oregon to spend some time on the campus and get a feel for what the college life is like. like.
Well, certainly a good weekend to go up to Eugene. Big matchup against Arizona State, one of the premier matchups in all of college football. Speaking of which, I don't know if you know this, but the Temple Owls, they're not known for their football powerhouse, but they've won 3 consecutive games. Just a little side note, just wanted to throw that in, just in case you were wondering while you're watching at home. We got a little bit of a false start on the play. That'll back up Compton 5 yards, and that'll bring up a 1st and 15 situation here for Compton. How important is it in a game like this where emotions are running high early in the contest? They had a horse running and galloping across the field before we got going here tonight to get some points on the board early in this contest.
Really, all teams seem to script their first 20 or 15 to 20 plays. So it's very important that you execute on the offensive side of the ball. And the one thing that hurts a team is penalties. So tonight, Compton wants to come in offensively and just really play sound football.
The misdirection once again this time gets stopped about the line of scrimmage. We'll say no gain on the play, bring up a 2nd and 15 situation. Bernard Griffin, the quarterback for Compton, averaging less than 4 passing attempts per game. In fact, he's only completed 9 passes on the season. He does have 8 rushing touchdowns on the year, so let's just say I don't think we're going to be seeing the ball going through the air too much tonight.
And when you talk to the coaches at Compton, they're okay with that. They're fine with that because they understand that this is an offense that sustains long drives due to their ball control.
Yeah, and just as we're talking, they go to a shotgun formation with 3 wide receivers. They have one in motion here. High snap, the handoff to the near side. He's got some blockers in front of him and some rope. A nice pickup of about maybe 10, maybe 11 on the play. Should bring up a 3rd and about 5 to go for Compton. A nice pickup that time on the misdirection. So even when they line up in shotgun with 3 wide receivers, they're looking to run the football.
And if you notice the misdirection, it will look familiar if you're watching games on Saturday. Compton has implicated variations of the Arkansas's offense. The coaches had an opportunity to speak to Coach Nutt at Arkansas, and they really like what they saw. Athletically, they think that they have the personnel to run that and run that to perfection and really change things up.
The carry that time to Donald Green. Here's Green one more time around the corner. He's got some blockers in front of him. Breaks a couple of tackles, gets the 1st down. So a nice job that time by Compton. It looked like they were moving in the wrong direction, but 2 big carries by Green, and they've got themselves another 1st down.
And if you're Poly, this is a time where you really settle down and you try to read your keys. If your eyes are in the backfield, that's what makes Compton very difficult to cover because there's a lot of activity going on in the backfield, Sean. And so if you are the defensive line of Poly, very important that you read the guard and tackles as they pull. That will tell you the direction that the ball is going.
How much does it benefit Compton by running an offense that really isn't run a whole often right now? I mean, you see the spread offense a lot here at the high school level. You see a lot of 2-back set offenses. You don't see this type of offense on a consistent basis. Can that cause problems for Long Beach Poly tonight?
Absolutely, because it is unorthodox and at times unconventional. This is something that it's really difficult to simulate in practice. If you're accustomed to a 2-back traditional pro set offense, now all of a sudden you change your game plan and your frame of mind. Very important once again that the defensive line for Long Beach Poly remains poised, patient, and allow the play to develop and really read their keys. But more importantly, collectively as a defense, they need to swarm to the ball.
So that'll bring up 2nd down and about 12, a loss of 2 on that 1st down carry there. The handoff going to the left side, and you talk about staying at home. Right there to meet him, number 6. Romeo Robinson on the stop that time. The linebacker stayed at home and made the big stop.
And that is something crucial. Watching Poly practice this week, they noticed that there are huge gaps that they can afford to take their chances. And Romeo Robinson did exactly as such. He read his keys and made a great play in the backfield.
So 3rd and 12, and these are the situations when you run this type of offense you don't want to be in if you're Compton.
No, absolutely not. But with this running game and the effectiveness of it tonight, they're very confident that they can perhaps pick up the necessary yardage needed.
Donald Green in motion. And we got a little bit of a false start here. Let's wait and see what the official call is, but it looked like a false start. It should back up Compton another 5 yards and make it a 3rd and 17.
Again, Sean, emotions are still high and tensions are flaring, as we saw at the beginning of the game. If in order for Compton to really run their offense to perfection, they're going to have to calm their nerves, settle within their offense, and just continue to execute.
Well, and I think you made a great point right off the start in talking about the 71-game win streak here in the Moore League for Long Beach Poly. you know, Michael Jordan at one point in time said, hey, if you're going to win an NBA championship, it's still going to come through Chicago when they were playing the Utah Jazz. If you're going to win the Moore League championship, it's going to come through Long Beach Poly. And tonight, it's a great opportunity for Compton to figure that out, but Compton's got some room. It's Green down the sideline. We've got ourselves a touchdown on the board. It was 3rd and 19. The handoff goes to Donald Green. He's been averaging over 13 yards per carry. That time, 31-yard touchdown.
And Sean, that misdirection that we talked about with Donald Green tonight proved its point. So at any point, regardless of what the yardage is, the Tarbabes of Compton truly feel like they can gobble up yards in a hurry. With the explosiveness and tenacity of a Green, very capable.
What a big play that time. They go for 2, and they get the 2-point conversion. And now it's 8-0. Compton, early stages, 6:58 left to go here in the first quarter on the campus of Compton High, and their fans are going crazy right now, and you couldn't ask for a better opening drive for Compton.
Absolutely. It's homecoming. They got off to the start that they wanted. Poly looks to be a little bit deflated. They're a little confused as to what's going on. Now, it'll be interesting to see how the offense responds after such a great drive by the Tarbabes.
TheFootage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. So Poly will get their crack at it on the offensive side of the football now, and it's up to Compton's defense trying to see if they can stop Long Beach Poly here on their opening drive in the first quarter. Just as we were talking about the championship coming through Long Beach Poly, if Compton wins tonight's game, in all likelihood, they're going to win the Moore League championship. You don't see them stumbling, something unforeseeable. Look, college football has proven a lot to us this year. If App State can go to the big house and win, certainly we can see some upsets even at the high school level. But it would take an upset to knock off either one of these two teams after tonight's game.
And we talked about how the confidence on the Tarbabes side is starting to exude. Despite it being since 1979, the last time that the Tarbabes had beaten Poly, the Jackrabbits of Poly, you have to believe that they're confident tonight that this is their game to win, but not only win, they absolutely believe that they're going to win tonight.
Well, you know what? You've got to come out with that mindset if you want to win. And speaking about Long Beach Poly, you're going to have to score some points if you're Compton, because Long Beach Poly, since they lost to Birmingham, is averaging over 31 points per game in their last 6 games, all wins for Long Beach Poly. So certainly you're going to have to put some points on the board. So a good start for Compton, but now it's up to their defense to see how they can match up against the ever-strong Long Beach Poly offense. So Compton set to kick off, 6:58 to go here in the first quarter. 8-0 your score. The ball's picked up about the 10-yard line. He's got some blockers in front of him. Reads the blockers well, tries to get to the outside, and he's brought down. Right there on the outside. That kickoff returned by Patrick Walker.
Yeah,
a nice job that time picking it up and trying to make something, and having the patience also to wait for his blockers.
Yes, and Patrick Walker, someone who has a lot of speed and elusiveness, will have his chance tonight to showcase his talent and skills. And Poly, oftentimes, you'll see a lot of guys, we always hear about the guys that play two sides of the ball, but in this case, they're so deep that many of the offensive starters primarily play on that side of the ball. But tonight, it'll be interesting to see which Poly team shows up.
They say the game is won in the trenches. If that's the case, Long Beach Poly should be pretty solid tonight on their offensive line. They got a bunch of big guys, as always. That handoff goes straight up the middle. Handoff to number 29, Melvin Richardson, 5'10", 195 junior. You know, we talk about Green and his average yards per carry. It's Richardson averaging close to 13 yards per carry as well for Long Beach Poly, and he's really stepped his game up here in the last 6 games.
And Coach Don Norforth, the running back coach, his eyes light up when you talk about Melvin Richardson. He seems to think that this kid is along the likes of a Herschel Dennis. Very promising future, and tonight we're going to get a glimpse of it.
And of course, on the defensive line, you've got to watch out for number 56, the senior for Compton, Dante Jones. He is the stud when you look at their defensive line for Compton. He's already committed, by the way, to UCLA, but he does have offers from SC, Notre Dame, and Nebraska as well. He might be willing to go ahead and continue to visit some of those schools. His bench press, well, it's 315. His squat's 405. He's a big fella. He was the defensive lineman MVP at the SoCal Nike camp this summer.
And it's because of those intangibles that Poly is well aware of his accolades and his attributes. And as a result, their game plan is to run away from him. And I can't blame them. They seem to feel that they can exploit some matchups on the other side of the ball, on the weak side.
Jones on the near side on the defensive line, coming off that defensive end position. They do run away from him that time, and they pick up the first down on third down for Long Beach Poly. Good reason to run away from Jones. Well, he's averaging about 8 tackles per game. He already has 6 sacks on the year. He can really disrupt some things in the backfield. But nevertheless, you still got to get through that offensive line of Long Beach Poly. And you were around so many guys when you were at Long Beach Poly that have gone on to success. And even the guys that came in after you. I remember the year they had Winston Justice, Manny Wright on that offensive line. And it is a factory at Long Beach Poly.
It truly is. And before that, I played with guys like Sammy Parker, Kareem Kelly, Chris Lewis, to name a few. But it was the younger guys, and in this case, guys like Melvin Johnson.
A rare pass for Long Beach Poly. He's open to the flat. He's got a blocker down the sideline, but he gets tripped up on the far sideline. A nice job that time, working his way out of the backfield. Brock Linson gets that reception out of the backfield, number 34 for Long Beach Poly.
Yeah. And again, Poly has so many athletes that they continue to rotate in and out, and many of the Tarbabes go both ways, so durability may be a factor. But I talked about earlier how it's because of the tradition that some of the younger guys who are freshmen and juniors look up to these varsity players and aspire to fill those shoes.
Well, good reason why. Many of these players go on to have a great deal of success at the next level. A big hole right up the middle. Long Beach Poly's got an opportunity to have a big play, and he spins out of it. What a great move that time by number
Ricky
4.
Johnson. Ricky Johnson, tremendous vision through the hole, and you notice his patience and poise. Running backs are often taught slow through the line, slow to, fast through.
You're a guy that's obviously been in that situation before. A guy worked in the defensive side of it as well as the offensive side of things. Talk about keeping your legs moving. Johnson did a nice job that time, just churning his legs, keeping it going, and was able to break free.
It truly, but you got to give a lot of credit to the offensive line, gaping holes. And tonight, you have to wonder if conditioning and durability will be a factor. Many of the Tarbabes play on both sides of the ball. That's something to watch.
Well, the other thing, too, is the size of Long Beach Poly often causes some issues for teams in the second half because they wear you down with their strength, their weight, their height, all the physical attributes that they bring to the table. Some confusion trying to get the play in out onto the field. So a timeout is called by Long Beach Poly with 4:39 left to go. It's a 1st and 10, ball on the 16, and just as Compton had a nice opening drive, Long Beach Poly put in a nice little offensive drive themselves together here.
And that's the way you want to respond. This is truly going to be a chess match. It's the team that executes and stays within themselves. We may find, Sean, that it comes down to he who has the ball on the last drive and is able to execute. That plays a difference. But this is a tremendous drive by Poly. Balance is what we're seeing. Short passes to the outside, allowing your playmakers to do what they do, which is make plays.
You know, you look at Raul Laura, he's been at the program now for so long. There's been some criticism at times because this team has not won the championships, the national championships, the state titles, the sectional championships that is custom at Long Beach Poly. But that's the difficulty of taking over a job at Long Beach Poly because the tradition is there. The tradition to win it's a tradition of excellence.
It is a tradition of excellence, and at the prep level, you can maybe compare it to at the college level going to USC or Notre Dame, where each year you're measured by championships, not necessarily more league titles. So again, Poly comes into the season expecting to win and dominate throughout the Moore League, but tonight they definitely have their hands filled. But if there's anyone who's up for the call, it's Raul Laura and this coaching staff.
Well, certainly he has been through the fires and he continues to test his team. Johnson gets the handoff, gets to the outside, got some room, breaks across the middle, touchdown, Jackrabbits. From 16 yards out, it's Ricky Johnson getting in the end zone for the Jackrabbits, and we got ourselves an 8-6 game. With 4:34 left to go.
What a great run by Ricky Johnson. Again, off counter, and just really, we talked about him churning his legs and really showing size and strength. That's one of the attributes that the coaches feel that this senior brings to the table, and complemented quite nicely by a collective group of running backs.
Yeah, you know, talk about when we touched on it before we started the game, Melvin Robinson, how good he's been playing as of late. But it's Johnson on the opening drive with a couple of real nice runs getting in the end zone. The extra point is up, and it's good. We've got ourselves an 8-7 game in favor of Compton. That extra point, of course, Compton went for 2, so the Jackrabbits still trail by 1, but a smart move early in the game. No need to try to get those 2 points back right now. And I have to believe that one thing I know about Raul Laura, he believes in himself,
yes,
and he certainly believes in his team.
And if motion creates emotion, then his calmness and poise on the sideline, despite the pressure of playing at Poly, it is exuded throughout this team. And tonight, a very intense and emotional game. I look for Poly to remain within themselves and again just really try to execute. So this first drive, if this is a clash of titans, I think we're in for a great game.
Curry Williams and Donald Green will be back to retrieve the kick this time for Compton. Last time Long Beach Poly kicked off was the opening kickoff of the game, goes out of the end zone. And Compton went 80 yards to get in the end zone. We'll see what they do here on their second drive. As we would have expected, a great start to this game. Two teams really playing good football right now.
And with the Tarbabes lining up, Romeo Robinson would love to get his hands on the ball and give this offense great field position.
This kickoff will go in the end zone, and it'll start again at the 20-yard line, so Compton will have to go 80 yards to get in the end zone again. And so now, what kind of adjustments do you make defensively if you're Long Beach Poly? That opening drive, everything seemingly you thought was going your way. You had him back it up, going in the opposite direction. You forced a 3rd and long, something you really hope to do against this offense that doesn't like to throw the ball very much at all. And then you give up the big touchdown run.
And the first drive is very critical when you come back on the sideline and you have an opportunity to discuss it. It's one thing to simulate it in practice, but you can't simulate the game speed and the effectiveness of the Tarbabes. Notice how they come out, spread you out, empty backfield.
And here comes Green. Green gets it around the outside. Same play that they ran to get the touchdown. He gets to the corner and picks up about 4, maybe 5 on the carry. Make it 4. It'll bring up a 2nd and 6 for Compton. The interesting thing, though, Daryl, does it become predictable? They line up in that setting, and they've done it now 3 times in this game. And no matter which way, Green's going the opposite direction, and they've always given him the ball. At what point in time do we see the quarterback, Griffin, pull the ball out and then try to make a move?
And that's something. Until once Poly starts to shut that play down, haven't seen it 3 times, that is something that we definitely have to keep an eye on. But that right there is a variation of what we see Oregon do, the spread option. Bringing Green in motion, you create the same style as if he was in the backfield, lined up.
So this time the quarterback Griffin lines out in the corner. Green gets behind his big offensive lineman and gets the first down. And as much as we have credited Long Beach Poly and their size, their offensive line, it seems to be the quickness right now. Getting out to the outside corner, this Compton offensive line has done a nice job.
And you have to wonder if the coaching staff of the Tarbabes saw something on film that led them to believe that they can seal the corner and get around with Green. Green has tremendous speed, and Poly, you hope that they brought their track shoes tonight because it's definitely going to be a sprint.
Daryl Rideau, Sean Farnham here for Footage.com. It's Long Beach Poly, Compton, in this Moore League battle for first place and, in all likelihood, a championship in this league. And if it's going to be a sprint, I'm glad I got Daryl Rideau on my team. He's faster than anyone. And just as we mentioned it, they bring Green across that time, decide to keep it, and run straight forward. Number 6, Curry Williams, lining up at the quarterback position the last 2 plays for Compton.
And again, because of that formation and variation, there's so much that they can do. So what their game plan tonight is to tighten Poly up with the wing tee and then spread them out with their hybrid version of Arkansas's offense. Again, I'm not sure if they run it quite similar to Arkansas, but the coaching staff seems to believe that it's still a formula.
Well,
and the strength of their team is a running game.
Well, if you're going to compare this to Arkansas's offense, I know who Darren McFadden is. It's number 23.
And if you're Poly, zero in on number 23.
This time the give is to number 23. And he is swallowed up immediately on contact that time. And making the big hit is the safety, Von Telemake, coming up from the backfield, making that stop there.
And Sean, we talked about it earlier. Maybe perhaps the Tarbabes have gone to the well one too many times. Poly's starting to key up on it. But because of their variations of it, they seem to think that they'll give up a play or 2 like that if they know that Green has the capability of breaking the long one.
And Telemake is, you look at him, 5 interceptions on the season already. 54 tackles a year ago as a junior, 2 interceptions. He claims he has a 38-inch vertical leap. I'm not going to question him. He does already have offers from SC, Oregon, Michigan, Rutgers, and North Carolina.
And Talmac, he too is also tripping to Oregon tomorrow.
That time Williams keeps it up the middle. It's a pickup of maybe 5, but because of the loss on the last play, We're looking at a third down and long, making a fourth down, and long in a punting situation for Compton. So it looks like the Jackrabbits able to get it done. TheFootage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. 8-7 your score right now. Compton in the lead with about 1:13 left to go here in the first quarter. First time we've seen the punting unit out onto the field.
Von
A nice punt that time, and a good favorable bounce for Compton. It rolls inside the 15 and will be marked down at the 12-yard line. So a beautiful execution that time by special teams.
Yeah, that's really good field position for Poly to get started. And, you know, Sean, we talked a little bit about Von Talmek and the fact that he's tripping to Oregon tomorrow. We joked earlier this week in practice about how he had 3 interceptions earlier this year versus Carson. And he seems to be playing at a high level. And that's very important for this defense because they're really starting to come into their own again. And they want to get back to the point where they were last year, really dominating games. And coming off the Cabrillo game last week, pitching a shutout, they were very excited.
Now, when you look at him, is he going to play safety at the next level? Some say he might have to move to corner.
If he commits to a school like Oregon runs 5 defensive backs. He can play that rover spot, that hybrid corner safety. There is a need and there is a spot for him somewhere in college football. But if he does decide to play safety, he will have to beef up a little bit.
No question about it. He's got the talent, he's got the skills, the ability to get it done, as so many players do that come out of Long Beach Poly. It is a factory. And going through that factory, being one of those guys that has gone through it, is it one of those things where you come in immediately and you realize, hey, I have to get better. I have to work hard. I have to be able to be as good as those guys that are on varsity right now. You touched on that freshmen and sophomores look up to those guys on varsity. At this program, it's seemingly every single year, they get stronger, bigger, faster every year.
Well, when you're an underclassman, you have the privilege of working out during the offseason, during track season, with professional and collegiate athletes who come back and train with this coaching staff. So it's always a measuring stick. And the one thing about growing up in Long Beach is, before you even think and consider a school like UCLA or USC, you aspire to play, Sean, you aspire to play at the highest level, the varsity level, and be a part of this great program and great tradition. So yeah, once you do have the opportunity to start, you want to raise the bar.
Yep. Speaking of which, the only thing that hasn't gone right tonight for Compton thus far is their PA system, which is struggling to say the least. We go to the second quarter right now. It's 8-7, Compton over the Jackrabbits. All right, so we get set here in the second quarter. The atmosphere still festive, a tight one, as expected. You look at these two teams on paper, you expected them both to show up tonight and bring forth their best effort, and we've seen that thus far. It is a third down at about 5 for the Jackrabbits. And if Compton's able to get the stop here, not only do they win the field position battle as far as punt returning, but more importantly, they gain confidence that their defense can step up and stop the Jackrabbits offense.
So this is a very critical down. And you look for your playmakers to really step up and make plays for you.
Under center, here the handoff right up the middle. He's got some room. Open field in front of him. Makes a couple of nice moves in the stiff arm. Crosses the 45, brought down at the 47-yard line. And a good job that time. By Corey Westbrook, as you said there, the sophomore, 5'9", 175. You touched on it. When you're young, you come into a program like this, there's no adjustment period. If you're good, you'll play, and they'll find you plays.
And we saw a dose of running backs by committee, and tonight, Poly seems to think that they have balance, speed, strength, and size. That's something that they're going to give a dose of to the Tarbabes.
And Ricky Johnson had such a nice job on the first series of downs for the Jackrabbits. The lone setback right now, 4 wideouts for Long Beach Poly. Here's a pass. It is complete to number 5, Randall Cox, the senior, 5'9", 170. Catches that one and picks up about a good 6 to 7 yards. It'll bring up a second and short.
And with the running game of Poly, the way it is right now, a short yardage 2nd and 5 gives you that option of maybe coming back with some play action, really keeping the Tarbabes off balance. And Dante Jones, again, Pauly seems to think that because of his wide stance and the way that he rushes up the field with so much authority that they can come right underneath him, as they did in a few plays earlier.
All right, so 2 backs in there. Johnson still the deep setback. Kind of a split eye formation. Handoff to Johnson. Johnson tries to go up the middle. He breaks a tackler. He's got a lot of room in front of him. Runs into his blocker and crosses it down to the 25-yard line. A pickup of 20 on the play.
Tremendous surge by this offensive line. Average size of the offensive line is close to 290 pounds. Again, they're going to maul and wear down this Tarbabes defense, by which many of them go both ways. We talked about it early, durability being a factor. If this running game continues, it's going to be a long second half.
And Johnson having a huge first half here for Long Beach Poly. Already in the end zone, had 2 long runs on that drive. Now he gets up another one here on the second drive of the game. In the backfield, number 29, Melvin Richardson, your deep back for Long Beach Poly. The handoff to Richardson. He goes straight up the middle, maybe gets about 2 before he's stacked up at the line of scrimmage by Compton.
5'10", 200 pounds. Again, Pauly is demonstrating that they're going to give a dose of Westbrook, Johnson, and Richardson. And the difference of the pace, the balance, this offensive line feeds off of that. They don't want to sit back in pass formation all night. They want to maul down the Tarbabes. Defensively, we're starting to see some hands on the hips. Conditioning may be a factor, Sean.
9:47 left to go here in the first half. 8-7 your score in favor of Compton. 2nd down and 10. No gain on that last play for the Jackrabbits. And we've got a timeout being called here by Compton. Talk things over, and probably a good move right now by Coach Calvin Bryant. We talked a lot about Raul Laura. Let's talk a little bit about Calvin Bryant. His 4th season in the program. His first year, didn't win a game. Next year they go 7-4, go 8-4 last year. This year they're sitting at 8-0.
The first thing that Coach Bryant, when I had that chance of speaking to him before the game, is he said, you know, Daryl, it takes a village to raise a community and to raise one of these kids. Over time, over the years, they had to learn how to win, and they seem to finally have found the formula. Going into this game versus Poly on all 3 levels, the freshman, JV, and now on the varsity level, has started to experience a little success. And success can be infectious when you have a plan.
Well, and you have to be true to that plan. And one of the biggest things for Bryant that he's talked about is not just their performance out on the football field, but also their performance inside the classroom. Mandatory study halls for the team. He tries to make sure that he gives his players the best opportunity to pass the SATs, have successful, live their dreams, go to college. You know, you look at, and I think there's probably a lot of admiration coming from the coaching staff, at least, of Compton, looking at Long Beach Poly and the success that they've had with their kids. It's something you want to emulate in your own program, and Coach Calvin Bryant certainly has brought that winning mentality that you talked about to Compton.
And Coach Bryant talked about, and there was a twinkle in his eye when he discussed how the program is starting to become more disciplined. They're starting to win, and win with confidence and win with dignity. And that's something that this program has been lacking for quite some time, but they're trying to restore a great rivalry that took place in the 60s and 70s between Poly and the Tarbabes.
And not only that, they're trying to get a stop here, which is really important here in the first half. Melvin Robinson, your deep setback for the Jackrabbits. 2nd and 10. Play action pass. Looking down the sideline, and it's caught down the sideline. And he's pushed out of bounds on the near side. A nice job that time.
Patrick Walker. And Patrick Walker did a great job. He ran what they call a fade stop, recognizing that the defender was on top of him, made a stop. You have to give a lot of credit to this coaching staff.
Well, what about the throw that time by quarterback Morgan Fennell? Just a junior, 6'1", 190. Put a lot of zip on that one. He was covered, but was able to get it in.
And Fennell got off to a slow start, but is really coming to his own over the last few games. Really mixing the pass and the run really well, and has truly become the leader of this team.
So 1st down from the 5-yard line for the Jackrabbits. The handoff to Robinson, tries to spin away, but he's stuffed. Met at the line of scrimmage by number 39, Benjamin Malua.
56, Dayton Jones.
And Dayton Jones was in on that play as well. And that's the effort that the Tarbabes need, just a collective effort, just helmets around the ball, But what a great drive for Long Beach Poly, taking it pretty much the distance of the field. Mixing again, we talked about really good passings, but more importantly, they're staying true to what they want to do today.
So here we go, second down from the 5-yard line. No gain on that last play. 8:50 left to go here in the half. Jackrabbits trail by 1. The handoff to the front man. Number 34 gets stacked up right away at about the 1-yard line. The big fella trying to get through there. The fullbacks love the ball at this time.
Yeah, yes, they do, because oftentimes they are the hammer, not the nail. And in this case, so whenever they you throw them a bone, they love it. And you best believe McKaylee wanted to get into the end zone.
They said a gain of 2 on the play. It is a 3rd and 3. And knowing Long Beach Poly, we're in 4-down territory here.
Yes.
Coach Laura wants the 7.
Yeah, and you have to when you're going up against a team like the Tarbabes.
Fennell tries to bring it right up the middle. And he gets in. Touchdown, Long Beach Poly. Fennell on the quarterback keeper. And the Jackrabbits have their first lead of the night, sitting at 13-8, pending the extra point here.
And what a great vote of confidence for this offense to take it the distance against a very athletic defense. And they ran right at Dante Jones. And so it's going to be a long night.
Here comes the extra point with 8:03 left to go on the half. The extra point is up.
And the point is good.
And it is good, and we've got ourselves a 14-8 game. Jackrabbits in the lead. Think it's an important drive coming up here. How important is it early in this game? Let's be honest. Just because Jackrabbits have the lead, by all sense of the word, does not mean that this game is even, on the side of the Jackrabbits. They got control. They don't have control of this game yet. But if you're Compton and you haven't beaten them in so long, all of a sudden you look up to the scoreboard after having such a great opening drive and get in the end zone. How much does it deflate you, and how much importance do you put on this next possession?
Well, I think this next possession is very crucial and critical. Because against Poly, you don't want to find yourself behind by 2 touchdowns. Your offense is designed for ball control. It's not as explosive as, say, Poly's is on the other side. So you want to keep the game tight and really just eat up as much time as you can on the clock. But more importantly, you want to be able to finish with either a field goal, or in this case, you want to match them for wits and score a touchdown.
Footage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. Thank you so much for watching us on Footage.com. It's Darryl Rideau, legend of Long Beach Poly, as well as USC. I'm Sean Farnham. Not sure I'm a legend anywhere, but I'll claim UCLA, which means I can't believe a Bruin and a Trojan are actually getting along. And speaking of which, our 2 football programs right now, well, yours is still pretty good, but it definitely has taken a step back. Mine, hey, they lost to Notre Dame and Washington State. We used some of these guys from Long Beach Poly and Compton to come to UCLA.
Well, to counter that, we lost to Stanford. We lost to a tree.
Yeah. Well, if you want to compare losses, you beat a team we lost to 38-0. Well, that's neither here nor there. Here comes the kickoff. This one goes to the end zone.
Curry
It'll
Williams
be marked down at the 20-yard line for Compton.
Again, you can tell that Curry Williams is starting to get a little antsy. He wants the opportunity to return one of those kicks to just really ignite this crowd. This crowd is looking for an opportunity to erupt.
And if they're looking for an opportunity to erupt, what about a little play action? It's been run, and some more running for Compton. At any point in time, you look at the play action to try to get the big play and kind of catch Long Beach Poly maybe sleeping or shading the run.
And what the offense is looking for, and what Griffin is looking for when he lines up at the line of scrimmage, is how many defensive players for Poly lines up inside the perennial box. Well, if there are 8 guys in the box.
Griffin at the top of your screen. Williams, your quarterback for Compton. Handoff. Faked up to the outside. Williams keeps it, gets stuffed up at the line of scrimmage by pretty much everybody on the Long Beach Poly defense.
And the defense, again, is going to pretty much line up with 8 to 9 guys in the box and force Compton to change up their style and maybe challenge them deep.
I don't want to say they have a limited playbook, but we've seen that play maybe 5 to 6 times already here in this game. It's like you're playing Madden at home, and you got a play that works, and you want to just keep running it.
Yeah.
But the only difference is this is real life. The defense is going to make adjustments, and they've made the adjustments necessary to sniff out that play.
So when you are an offense and you run plays to perfection, and oftentimes you're going up against inferior talent, those plays seem to be very effective. But when you're matching wits with the team that's very athletic, knows how to win, has been in big games, you are going to have to change it up, Sean.
Well, and how do you change it up? Do you look at the screen pass? Do you try to get Green the ball in a different way than just running out to the corner? Because they send him in motion, they hand the ball off to him, he goes to the corner. If he doesn't get the ball, they're going straight at the middle. There's only two options on that play. You really limit yourself when you're going against a defense like Long Beach Poly. We'll see what the coaching staff, they call a timeout here. I'm sure trying to talk it over, try to figure out a way that they can get some large chunks of yardage. That's how they scored on their opening drive. Yeah. Was able to get a couple of carries that broke loose and was able to get large chunks of yards. If they're unable to get those carries, their offense really will be stifled here.
Yeah, but this is an offense that is patient and waits for Poly to make mistakes before they're able to exploit that. But Poly's playing very sound football, roaming sideline to sideline. So option is the key. Perhaps if you are going to be in the backfield and you are Griffin and you have so much talent behind you, like Green, maybe you run an option play. And then from that, you're able to maybe chuck one over the top. Even if it's incomplete, you want to keep Poly's defense honest by throwing the ball deep.
Right now, they have not been kept honest at all. They know they're going to run the football, and they're playing them to run the football. Of course, we talk about the implications of this one. Compton has more than just a league championship on their mind. They get some respect in the state polls. Even at 8-0, they haven't gotten a lot of respect. That time, the carry up the middle, number 26
Finis
on the carry.
Hardnett. Once again, the fullback, Finis Hardnett.
Gets a couple
and that's
of yards
something
on
that they're going to have to do, Sean. They're going to have to come right up the tube and punch Poly right in the mouth. And then
it's not easy to do, though.
It's not easy to do, but from that, you can run more play action. But it's very difficult when you're running horizontally around the field because it makes it very challenging for Griffin to set up and pass the ball vertically.
It looks like a 3rd and 6 situation here. 6:40 left to go here in the half. I mentioned, respect to the state rankings. Right now, Compton ranked 20th, even though they're undefeated. Meanwhile, Long Beach Poly, with their loss, still in the top 10. In fact, they're 7th in the CIF Cal High rankings. This time, Green gets to the outside. He's got some ropes, uses the blocker well, and able to pick up the first down. And to be honest with you, if Green gets a better block from Chris Jones on the outside, he could have gone all the way.
And that's what they need. They need all 11 guys offensively holding off their assignment because a guy like Green can take it the distance. And as many times as we've seen that play, it is because of that very same reason that they remain true to who they are, and they continue to run him on that reverse.
A big first down for Compton, whose offense has looked stagnant here since their opening drive. Move the ball out to the 39-yard line, hoping to get across the 50. It'll be first down and 10. 6:07 left to go here in the half. 14-8.
Poly defensively is lined up in a 4-4 stack defense, which creates 8 guys in the box and really takes away a lot of the lanes.
It's Green again, and it's a first down again. A nice job that time on a little bit of a wrinkle in the play. Instead of bringing Green all the way across the field, he stops short, receives the pitch, and goes right behind that offensive line. And good patience to wait for that offensive line to clear the hole, find a gap, and then he uses his speed.
And it's that tackle trap that Green was able to take advantage of, and we saw his straight line speed. This is the kid who also runs a little track, so he can take it the distance, and that's what they're looking for. They're going to need their playmakers to make plays, but 10 yards to carry, that's not a bad average.
First and 10 from the 50-yard line. Green rushed for over 1,000 yards a year ago, 13 touchdowns. I mentioned he already has 20 touchdowns on this year. That time they give it to the fullback. He's able to get about 9, and it'll be a 2nd and short. So all of a sudden now, they change things up a little bit offensively for Compton, and they're having some success.
They utilize their middle linebacker, bringing him in at the fullback spot, Byron Walker. And I think that the defense was expecting someone like Green perhaps to get the ball, a little misdirection, and that's something that the wing tee brings you. It's that, you just never know who's going to get the ball on any given play.
Do you spy Green? If you're Long Beach Poly right now, I would have somebody on every play say, okay, guess what? Your responsibility is to watch Green because he's going to get the ball. You can't afford to have the big play from him. You take him out of this game, all of a sudden you're looking at something a little more difficult. Green that time hops over the offensive lineman and dives forward for a pickup of about 5. And I really like Donald Green a lot. And I know he's 5'6". I know he's 148. He is getting recruited by some Division I schools, some of the Pac-10 taking a look at him. But some of them are scared off because of his size. I know personally, Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yes.
Not a very big, tall guy, but he was quick, and he made smart reads as a running back and was able to have success. Is Green that type of guy? He doesn't have the same bulk in the legs that a Maurice Jones-Drew has, but he certainly has the speed and has shown the ability to read a defense extremely well.
And he certainly has that big play capabilities, as we see him right now on a reverse. Very hard for one person to take down. We noticed all night that one defender has not been able to take him down. He doesn't have the same build as Maurice Jones-Drew, but he's still as elusive.
He's elusive. He's got good speed and good wheels. He might need someone to take a chance on him. Reminds me a little bit of Rodney Glass, formerly of Notre Dame Sherman Oaks, who's now down at Arizona State. Very good speed, not very tall.
Sean, I would take it a step further. I would compare him to a kid out of Antelope Valley who committed to UCLA Bruins, Jermaine Lewis, amongst that frame.
Jitterbug.
Yeah, we call exactly the jitterbug. Another guy very hard to take down, deceptive speed and deceptive size and strength.
Well, that time the deceptive speed got sprung out by a nice defensive effort by Long Beach Poly. And this time it's Green yet again. Wiggles his way through the line and is able to get up. A gain of about 10 on that carry should bring up a 3rd and 2 for Compton. Green again able to show his ability to get behind that offensive line and find a hole.
And you have to give the Tarbabes a lot of credit. Despite Poly's defense knowing what's coming at them, they're still able to execute their offense. And they've been eating up a lot of time. They've had this ball for maybe a little over 4 minutes now, and they don't seem to be letting down. 3rd and 2 is the favorable down for them.
Well, they run this clock all the way down to underneath a minute here and able to get a touchdown and take a lead to the half. Boy, that's going to build a lot of confidence for Coach Bryant and his team when he goes into halftime and starts talking to them about what they were able to accomplish in the first half. We've got a penalty flag thrown now, a delay of game on Compton. And I guarantee you that's not what he was looking for on a 3rd and 2 situation to back it on up and make it a 3rd and 7 now for Compton.
And there's nothing more frustrating than to have positive situations be counterproductive or counteracted by a penalty. And Coach Ryan has done a great job of really instilling that type of confidence and discipline in his team. But sometimes we get a little antsy, and that seems to be the case right now.
You love the school spirit for both of these teams. Of course, we're here on the Long Beach Poly sideline, so we're hearing their cheer crew, and their crowd always fired up. And we got a timeout called by Compton. Miscommunication and frustration on the side of Compton here. Everything looked like it was going so smooth. Why have the wheels fallen off this wagon all of a sudden?
And a timeout is very much needed. Coach Bryant, it's time that he settles this group down. Griffin did the right thing because that was a play that had disaster written all over it. The play was telegraphed, but at this point, it's just settling down, going back to the basics, and really not trying to get too much too soon. This is 4-down territory, if you ask me. The way their defense is playing, I think that they're well rested now. Coach Bryant, it'd be very interesting to see what type of play he designs. 3rd and 7 is one of those downs that's a little confusing. I don't know if you can necessarily run the ball and expect to get positive yardage from this, 8 yards or plus. Maybe something where you design that right pass play. Maybe hit the tight end up the tube or something, catching Poly off guard.
Yeah, I'd like to see some creativity. They're averaging less than 4 passing attempts per game.
Yeah.
So they really do pick and choose where they're going to throw it. In fact, Griffin, only 9 completions on the year. 9. Come on, Daryl, that's not a lot.
There are backup quarterbacks that warm up and throw more passes than that. But nevertheless, Griffin does have a pretty strong arm. But this offense is not designed for him to lead this team down the field with his arm. This offense is designed to mold teams down.
All right, so here we go. 3rd down and 7. 2:47 left to go. The run straight up the middle, maybe a pickup of 2 on the carry. It'll bring up a 4th down for Compton.
And it has to be very disappointing for Coach Bryant because you were in a 3rd and 2 situation where you could have very easily given yourself an opportunity. Now you find yourself in 4th and 9, and you have to dig deeper into the playbook to craft up the right play.
And it was Hartnett on the carry, and he limps off the field. And we're going to go for it here on 4th down. One could assume they were going to go for it. I mean, they're so deep in Long Beach Poly territory. If you punt the ball, most likely, unless you have really a lot of confidence in your punter to be able to pooch this thing, you're going to only maybe gain 7 yards here. So here it is, 4th down. The pitch to Green. Green tries to get to the outside. Nothing going, and the defense makes a huge stop for Long Beach Poly. And the Tarbabes go ahead and turn the ball over on down. And that was a missed opportunity right there. Remember that as this game continues to go on, because if it's close, you could look back and say, what if there's no delay of game on 3rd and 2?
And what a great job by Jarrell Casey and company. They had an idea of what the play was going to be, and they anticipated. Tremendous credit. There was at least 5 or 6 guys on the tackle. Again, plays like that are momentum changers. We see that Poly sideline, they're high-fiving one another, and now it'd be interesting to see how the offense responds to that.
And next time they get on defense, we got to spend a little bit more time talking about Casey, all the accolades that he has,
sure.
all the success he has had at Long Beach Poly. But Poly opportunity here with 1:58 to go to try to separate themselves, or at least create some separation here before they go to the half. The pitch to the outside, trying to get to the corner. Number 29, Melvin Robinson.
Yeah.
Or make it number 28, Corey Westbrook that time, receiving the carry. He gets no gain and gets strung out to the sideline.
And they're all interchangeable, whether it's Robinson or Corey Westbrook at this point. They're just all seeming to have success, and they're having success with a lot of confidence, with a lot of confidence in their ability. Give a lot of credit to this offensive line.
The middle's wide open.
There we go, Long Beach Poly. Fennell under center, looks to pass. He's got somebody out in the flat. It's number 2, Patrick Walker. He takes it, turns it upfield, picks up the 1st down for the Jackrabbits.
Pass is complete.
And it's because of the running game, Sean, that the passing game is starting to open up. And this is what Poly wanted to do tonight. They wanted to be balanced and really dictate and keep the Tarbabes defense off balance, because they have a great player in Dante Jones that they're very concerned about.
Yep, and we got 1st down, 1:05 left to go here on the clock. 1st down and 10. They pass it out here to the flat. That pass is complete by Kevin Norvell Jr. Takes it up the field, picks up the 1st down. Ball spotted at the 40-yard line. The clock will stop with 53 seconds left to go.
And what we're
1st and 10.
What we're seeing is that 2-minute offense run by Fennell, and he's running it to perfection. Right now, the clock is stopped because of the chains being moved. But they're doing exactly what they want to do. They're marching down the line, and they're eating up about 10 yards per reception.
Back to pass once again. Flings it out in the pass. Got to be careful. That's a
live ball.
That's a fumble, and the ball goes out of bounds. Compton slept on it. It could have been picked up, and that could have been 6.
And it was Brian Walker who had a great opportunity, but wasn't quite sure. And coaches always tell you that when in doubt, play the ball until the whistle is blown. That would have been one of those momentum changers that we talked about right there.
That would have been a backbreaker going into the break. But instead, it backs up Long Beach Poly. It's a 9-yard loss on the play. It'll be 2nd and 19 for the Jackrabbits. Footage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by Southern California Toyota dealers.
And if you're Long Beach Poly with 41 seconds on the clock, this is not a situation that you really want to be in. 2nd and long.
They've had some success throwing the ball. Will they stay with the passing game here? Yes. Fennell back to pass. Looking for his receiver across the middle. Slightly overthrown, number 7, Eric Vaughn. The 6'3", 200-pound tight end / wide receiver. Not quite Mercedes Lewis.
Not quite.
But still very talented.
But still very talented. And again, I think a play like that 2 plays before might have thrown Poly a little off kilter, because they're starting to lose their rhythm right now. So let's see how they respond on this 3rd and long.
It's 3rd and long. Assume they will drop back and pass it yet again. If the defense is ready to make a play, this might be a prime opportunity to step up and make a big play before the half. Fennell's going to get a center. You've got 4 wideouts, 3 on the near side. 36 seconds left to go before the break. Fennell back to pass. It's a wide receiver screen, and that one was going nowhere in a hurry.
And give a lot of credit to Dante Jones, sporting the 56, standing up, very similar to a New York Giants Lawrence Taylor in that regards, and might have caused Fennell to throw the ball a little sooner than he was ready to.
Well, and now we find ourselves in a situation where Long Beach Poly will indeed punt here, even though the ball's on their side of the field. The reason why? Well, even if you kick it through the back of the end zone, you're going to make them go 80 yards in less than 30 seconds by the time this ball is actually retrieved after the snap.
And the Tarbabes have to give themselves a lot of kudos on this one because they stopped a very effective Long Beach Poly offense that could have really put this game out of reach.
A high punt, and that one's going to fall inside the 5-yard line, bounce back to about the 9 is where they're going to mark it. So a beautiful job that time
by David
Sakura.
And David,
the punter. Sorry, David.
Yeah, David did a great job of just really putting that ball in favorable positions. And Sean, I do believe that we're going to be privileged to be joined by a former USC Trojan and Long Beach Poly Jackrabbit safety Deshaun Hill.
Why would I want to be joined by yet another Trojan being around me, Darryl Riddell? As a UCLA guy, it's 13-9. That's all I've got to say. And I can hold that for probably another 3 weeks. That's when I'm going to lose it.
Yeah, exactly. And Deshaun and I played on the team that broke that 8-game winning streak in the late 90s in 1999.
The Jackrabbits, one of the most successful programs in Southern California, in fact, in the nation. This time the handoff up the middle, nothing going. That takes it underneath 15 seconds. And really, if you're Compton, just let the clock run out here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, let it roll out.
I think you take this as a moral victory. The game is still close enough for you to go back in halftime, make some halftime adjustments, but more importantly, you did exactly what you needed to do. Poly had 2 minutes to execute, and you were able to stop them.
Well, we have reached the half. It is 14-8. Long Beach Poly scores on its opening 2 drives. Compton on their opening drive struggled ever since then, but nevertheless, we've got ourselves a ball game, folks. The Moore League title on the line. Second half action up next.
You have just won $165.
We get you set here for the second half. It's 14-8. To start the third quarter, here's your first half stats. We'll start with Compton. 142 yards of total offense, all of which came on the ground. Donald Green, number 23, the senior we've talked so much about, who came in this game, running the ball extremely well. Well, he's continually doing it. 13 carries, 115 yards, and a touchdown in the first half. All on the ground, of course, for Compton. 0 yards passing. They did have 3 penalties for 15 yards, none bigger than that one on third and 2 late in the first half. However, for Long Beach Poly Jackrabbits, 246 yards of total offense, 168 on the ground, 78 through the air. Ricky Johnson, a great first half, 3 carries, 57 yards and a touchdown. No penalties in the first half of the Jackrabbits, and that's something that has to please Coach Laura when they go to the break. Not only that they have the lead here on the road in a pivotal game in Moore League play, but more importantly, the team is playing disciplined. They're holding their line. They're making sure they do things the right way.
And if you're Long Beach Poly and you're Raul Laura, you have to be pleased with your offense because they were able to come out with the balanced attack and really sustain long drives. But more importantly, the start of the second half is going to be very critical because they have a chance to go up by 2 touchdowns and really put a lot of pressure on the Tarbabes.
Well, Compton needs to get things going here. They need to prove something to themselves that they can stop Long Beach Poly. They did a nice job on the last drive, but Poly was playing a little bit out of rhythm by throwing the ball so much. They'll get back to that Russian attack here probably in the second half. So here comes the kickoff for Compton. It's a squib kick up the middle, bounces to the front line. They're reversing field immediately, looking for the block. Didn't get the block that he was looking for. That's returned by number 21.
Number 21, Jeffrey Johnson. Again, no matter who you seem to kick it to in the backfield, they all seem to look like running backs back there. And Poly has a lot of athletes, a lot of talent, and I'm very curious to see how the offense starts off. Do they go back to the ground game, or have they found something within the passing game that leads them to believe that they can methodically work their way down the field, Sean?
The ball is marked just over the 35-yard line as the official moves it up to the 36 there.
I've never seen anything like that.
He's like, let's just make it an even 36. So it'll be 1st and 10 from their own 36. Long Beach Poly in the backfield. It's Robinson in the backfield.
Rounding to the nearest yard.
Well, you're a financial guy. You can always round up money, right, Darryl?
Certainly so. But what a great stop. And that's the type of electricity that you need by Finis Hartnett. Finis Hartnett did a great job of stuffing the hole.
finest Hartnett.
Yep. And of course, that ball is a no gain.
The running back.
It'd be 2nd and 10. And if you're going to ask for a way to start the second half, it's the way Compton want to get things started. Big defensive hit that time.
And Compton have shown at times a traditional 4-3 defensive front, and they mixed it up with the 5-2. That time, it looked like they might have gone to their 5-2 with five down linemen with 2 linebackers. And yet, again, they're showcasing it right now. Makes it very difficult to find running lanes.
The handoff again comes to the near side. A big hit yet again. The helmet even pops almost off. On the stop.
Once again,
number
Hartnett.
26, Hartnett on the stop. The carry that time by number 29, Robinson on the carry, Melvin Robinson, and he looks a little shaken up. He's going to go to the sideline and clear out the cobwebs after that hit.
Yeah, this defense, I'm not sure what was discussed in the locker room, but they came out with a little bit of attitude and a chip on their shoulder. They're going to prove to Poly that this is going to be a long half and that they're here for that.
Well, we'll see how long of a half it's going to be. It's 3rd down and a couple to go. The play action pass. Jones almost got to a fumble on the play. It's recovered by Compton. They needed a big play, able to get it. It looked like Jones was going to get him in the backfield, but instead it's a fumble by Fennell and the pickup by Compton. They needed an early break, and they've got it.
And it looks like the ball was recovered by Davion Hicks. Davion Hicks did a great job of recognizing the ball was on the ground. And again, just if this crowd ever needed a reason to erupt and really feel like they have a chance, the Tarbabes are definitely in position to strike.
Morgan Fennell has got to hold on to the ball a little bit better than he did right there. He's carrying it out there like it was a loaf of bread, maybe a picnic basket for Halloween. Trick or treat. That wasn't what they were looking for.
Absolutely not.
Griffin in a shotgun formation. Green coming to the near side. Griffin pulls it back out, tucks it himself, and picks up a couple, but the ball's on the field, and it's recovered by the Jackrabbits. And as I one time saw online by a horrible sportscaster, boom goes the dynamite. The ball goes back to the Jackrabbits.
Kenny Tuliamo did a great job. Again, you know, these defenses have definitely come to play, and these quarterbacks have to do a great job of securing the ball, Sean.
Well, I learned early on in this business that if you're going to do the business right, you've got to do it right. And
Sure.
Hefner, John Hefner, that is, from footage.com, always does a good job of stating the obvious, and I'll state the obvious there. That wasn't what the Compton Tarbabes were looking for.
No, absolutely not. I mean, you get a treat. Poly turns over the ball, and rather than pounding the ball and taking it right down their throat, you end up giving the ball right back to them. That has to be very deflating.
Well, it can be deflating, but you also can get stronger from it, as Kanye West would say.
We would like to welcome back home.
I like your pop culture reference there, Sean.
You see, I'm trying to, just add a little bit of pop culture and flavor to it. Speaking of pop culture, why don't we talk about some famous alumni, shall we? Let's run down the list.
We shall.
Where do you want to start? You want to start with Compton?
Let's start with Compton.
Okay, we'll start with Compton. Their famous alumni include Duke Schneider, of course, the legendary baseball player.
Yeah.
Eazy-E.
Yep.
And, of course, The Game. All alumni of Compton High. Now, on the flip side, of Long Beach Poly, we should start with the most famous of all Long Beach Poly graduates, Darryl Rideau. After that, we'll build out to guys like John Wayne,
Yes.
Cameron Diaz, Billie Jean King, the famous tennis player, Snoop, D-O-double-G, and a little Nate Dogg action for you as well.
A little Nate Dogg action for you.
Not to mention the countless numbers of NFL football players that have been churned out by Long Beach Poly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the list goes on. And I bet you didn't know this, and
There's Johnson on the carry. This time he gets stuffed up in the backfield. Remember, 3 carries, 57 yards at the half. That time he gets a carry and gets maybe 1.
But during the offseason, oftentimes, Long Beach Poly School, because of its tradition, has also been home to great movies in our young pop culture.
American Pie.
Such as American Pie.
American Beauty. What,
Yes.
you act like I don't know that Nancy Drew was filmed on the campus of Long Beach Poly.
Of Long Beach Poly.
Come on, Daryl, I do my homework.
I see you do.
You see, the reason I know that is I was trying to be an extra in all those movies. I was trying to run around campus to see if I could get in. Never worked out so well for me. Handoff this time faked. It's a play-action pass. Fennell, Scotto's receiver
great
open
catch.
across the middle and able to hook up with him. It's a first down. They had success passing the ball in the first half. That
By
one
Kevin
caught by
Norvell
number
Jr.
3, Kevin Norvell Jr.
And Kevin, these receivers have just done a great job of really securing the ball. They're making Fennell look very good tonight.
Well, to be honest, that pass, if it's on the money, would allow Norvell to turn the corner, maybe make a move, and maybe work that secondary. But because it's a little bit out of reach, he makes the grab, falls right down immediately. Smart play.
Smart play.
But, Morgan's got to be maybe a little more accurate, pinpoint with his passing.
Sure. And these receivers, as good as they are, had an opportunity to be great. But with the success of the running game,
Fennell flings it out here in the flat. Norvell again, and he drops the ball, and that time we'll blame the wide receiver.
yeah, and that has to be a little disappointing again. With the success of the running game, these receivers really haven't had a chance to really showcase their skills. And we've seen great receivers come out of this program, such as the likes of Cal's very own Deshaun Jackson, Oregon's Derek Jones, to name a few, in more recent years. And these receivers have the very similar in size and stature, but haven't had that big play, deep threat capabilities that we've seen in years past.
Well, and what do you attribute that to? Because, again, you just named off some of those guys. Deshaun Jackson obviously came into the year as the Heisman hopeful. Hasn't necessarily gotten the ball as much as he probably would have liked, but certainly a threat in all aspects of the game. Just as that one, wide open. Nobody covered him on the far sideline. Touchdown. Long Beach Poly in the end zone. Number 3, Kevin Norvell. He makes up for slipping and falling on this side. Nobody was out there guarding him, and what a bad break that was for Compton. A misread on their defense, not covering one of the wideouts of the Jackrabbits, and right on cue, Daryl, we talked about not making the big play. Well, that was a big play.
And we talked about Fennell giving the ball to these receivers such as Norvell, and for an opportunity for them to showcase their skills and talent.
At 48 yards to the house for the Jackrabbits. Down injured on the play, Chris Jones, number 2, the defensive back, sophomore for Compton.
And that for Norvell, that's only his 3rd touchdown for the year.
Well, and that's a rarity when you think about all the offensive power, all the offensive weapons that Long Beach Poly has had on the outside and utilized in their passing games over the years.
But this is an offense that is balanced, very explosive, but it's predicated on the running game, and you can understand why, with the running back by committee.
The extra point is up, and it is good for the Jackrabbits, and the lead now goes to 21-8, and what a backbreaker for Compton. Just when they looked like they were going to get some momentum, they recovered the fumble here on the opening possession by the Jackrabbits, and then turned it over on their very first play from the line of scrimmage, and the Jackrabbits take a commanding lead here early in the 3rd.
And if you're Coach Bryant, coming into this game, if you said, what must happen in order for us to have a chance to win this game? You would have to imagine that Coach Bryant would say, we can't turn the ball over, we have to execute, and we can't beat ourselves. And in this case, you had a great opportunity and gave it right back. And what does a great team do? They respond when you turn the ball over, and it turned into 7 points for Poly.
Well, and more specifically, look at Morgan Fennell. He's the guy that turned the ball over, comes back and is very accurate in his passing that time. They move the ball down the field, not via the run, but via the pass.
And this is the team led by Coach Raul Laura that seems to not get so rattled when they face a little of adversity.
Yeah, and Compton's defense that time looked as stunned as Britney Spears in custody court these days.
Touche, Sean, touche.
So here we go. Opportunity now to try to make a play in the return game. Back for Compton, number 4, Oswald Ternero, and number 5, Leslie Samuel. So changing up the guys on the deep back situation for Compton. And the reason is because they haven't returned one all game long. They won't return one that time either. So 80 yards is what they're going to ask of Compton to go down for this time, down 21-8, and now the pressure comes on this offense.
Poly's defense tonight have featured a 4-4 defense. At times they've come out in a 4-3. They've really mixed it up, ran some games up front, some twists with Jarrell, stunted him so that he can penetrate into the backfield, and it's really frustrated this offense of the Tarbabes.
All right, let's talk about Jarrell a little bit here. 6'1", 245, senior defensive tackle, probably best defensive tackle prospect in the state. We touched on his offers. He already has 76 tackles this year and 6 sacks. He was first-team All-State underclassman a year ago. As a junior, had 104 tackles, 10 sacks, and 6 fumble recoveries. And he is a big guy that gets it done up front.
He does get it done up front, and this team goes as he goes.
Pressure coming from the outside, a rare passing opportunity for Compton, turns into the run, and a smart move that time by their quarterback, Griffin, to duck out of bounds. Bernard Griffin ducks out instead of taking the big hit, which was coming.
This defense of Poly's is very tenacious, and the one thing you don't want to do if you're the opposition is run sideline to sideline, because that plays right into Poly's hands.
Well, of course, Nebraska, they call their defense the Black Shirts. Last year for Long Beach Poly, they consistently call themselves the D-Block.
Yeah, the D-Block.
This year, not necessarily the same D-Block kind of look or the same D-Block kind of intensity, but they're picking it up here as the year progresses. This is a defense that has gotten better every single game. The handoff this time in the backfield. Penalty flag down on the field. Green on the carry. A pickup of a couple. And the Footage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. It's 21-8, 7:45 left to go here in the third. And I'm sure right now, Compton would like to get some insurance on this game and try to get right back into it.
But Sean, we talked about Jarrell KC and his big play capabilities. Here is a guy, defensively, this team seems to go as he goes. And he's able to provide you with just so much energy and emotion. His leadership and his presence and poise on this team will give Poly a chance to go deep into the playoffs.
Well, updated score from the OC. Mater Dei battling it out with Olu tonight. 17-0. Orange Lutheran in the second half. In fact, Olu recovered an onside kick to start the game and got a little bit of power off of it. 17-0 Olu over Mater Dei. Well, it's 21-8 here at Compton. Underneath 740. The music and the rhythm of the Long Beach Jackrabbits cheerleading squad is the same thing going on the football field right now. This team's in a good rhythm and good flow. They stack up green behind the line of scrimmage yet again. A nice job swarming defensively for the Jackrabbits.
And again, that's what makes this defense so very difficult to consistently march down the field, because they're so fast, so athletic. And the one thing that they're doing better in years past, they're doing a great job of fundamentally tackling open field, as we just saw with Sheldon Armstrong.
Well, Compton needs to get something going offensively, and you're starting to see some dejection out of the big guys on the offensive line. Early in the game, they were getting out to the corner, making clearing blocks, allowing Green to make some big moves. Right now, though, they're struggling. It's a 3rd and 12 situation. The handoff to Green, going on the far sideline. If he gets to the corner, he might have some room. No room there. And we've got a penalty flag down, a late penalty flag coming down. The ball is marked down for Compton.
Looks like it could be a holding in the backfield, perhaps. And it's against the Tarbabes.
It's a holding on Compton. They're going to decline the penalty, which will bring up a 4th down and long.
Compton is refused. 4th down.
So, and we see, and you mentioned it. Look out on the field right now. Compton players are all reaching for their knees. They're tired. They're fatigued. Jones actually going to be coming off the field on this one to take a little bit of a breather as he goes both ways and has been battling on that defensive line.
And when you look at the defensive line, again, led by Jarrell Casey, coming into this game, he had 7 sacks. And he's just, the coaches seem to feel that he's just really getting started.
Well, here it is. The punt attempt. What a boot. It's caught and retrieved. And come on, nice moves. Oh, here comes some penalty flags. There is 4 penalty flags on the field. Everybody saw something.
But what a nice effort by Von Talamek.
Tomek, as we mentioned, he's got some capabilities to him. He's frustrated because he hasn't made a lot of plays tonight because they don't pass the ball. And as a safety, your only role then is to come up and stuff the run. And really, the linebacking core and the defensive line for Long Beach Poly has done a good job containing Compton for much of the evening thus far.
And Tomek, of course, what do you...
On the return team, 10-yard penalty, it'll be first down.
So 10-yard penalty will be assessed here against Long Beach Poly. They're marking it off for the 50, so the ball will be spotted at the 40-yard line, and that's where the Jackrabbits will get things going. A touchdown here by the Jackrabbits, and you don't want to say the game is over, but certainly it's leaning in that direction already. And you'd be making Compton, forcing them to get out of their rhythm, out of their flow, because then they'd have to start trying to pass the ball.
And again, Compton's coming into this game undefeated. It has to be very deflating to know that you're very close, but the offense is starting to sputter, the defense is starting to get tired, and Poly seems to be wearing them down, doing what they want as they please.
All right, so here it is. Fennell over center. Johnson, lone setback. Passing offense. Thrown out to the flat. And there has to become an adjustment eventually by Compton. You cannot continue to give a 10-yard cushion and expect Long Beach Poly not to continue to throw the ball right down your throat.
And for Randall Cox, a 5-yard completion. These are the type of athletes for Long Beach Poly. You just put the ball in their hands. So rather than have Fennell force the ball down the field, a little 5-yard completion with the 10-yard cushion. As a defender, I don't care. That's too much real estate. Come up, challenge them. You have athletes on the other side of the ball as well.
By the way, I need some real estate advice after we're done with this night, all right? You're the financial advisor. I'm going to start making calls to you. I'm driving my Toyota Camry. You're driving your 7 Series. Hello.
Well,
that's the difference between UCLA and USC, I guess? All right. I didn't get that message early. Johnson spins out of a tackle, keeps his legs turning, gets upfield, picks up about 6 on the carry.
Just a great effort by Johnson. You know what? It is. This is so true. You see Poly really starting to assert themselves. Once a team starts to get fatigued and tired, they just start bouncing off.
5:20 left to go here in the third quarter, 21-8. And the Jackrabbits on the move here across the 50-yard line. TheFootage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by Darryl Rodeau Financial Services. Please contact Darryl Rodeau.
Oh, you're funny, man. You're funny.
All right, second down and about 4 here for the Jackrabbits. Fennell looking at the line of scrimmage saying, you know what? I think I'm going to pass it again. Is he checking off? We'll find out right now. Johnson, the lone setback. The handoff to Johnson. He slips and falls down to his knee. It'll be a loss of 1 on the play.
The Poly coaches have implemented for this game a check with me call. They send in 2 plays into the offense, 1 run play, 1 pass play. Based on how Dante Jones lines up, they make their determination.
And Jones has been pretty quiet tonight. Hasn't really done a whole lot. And let's be honest, you mentioned it from the get-go. The game plan was to stay away from him. They've been effective in doing that.
And very much so. But if you are Jones, you are getting a little frustrated, you have to wonder if the coaches are going to start to dial up some stunt packages to really get him away from that double team that he's dealing with all game.
Play action pass. They hit the tight end coming out of the back. Number 7, Eric Vaughn on the reception. The senior, 6'3", 200 pounds. He bobbled the ball at first, able to pick it up, and he picks up the first down.
But just tremendous concentration. And again, when an offense is having confidence, you get plays like that seem to go your way. Even with the turnover, what happens? The defense responds, gets the ball right back. I would not be surprised if Poly is able to march down this field at the route that they're going. This offense is really starting to find its rhythm.
Well, definitely the offense has found its rhythm, and the defense for Compton is playing on their heels. And anytime you get a defense playing on their heels, Darryl, that's exactly what you're looking for.
And what the defense have done is, the offense of Poly, what they have done is they went to a 12 personnel, brought in 2 tight ends in this situation, motioned the fullback.
Handoff this time coming out to the outside. He's got the corner. If he gets there, it's Corey Westbrook. And that's a first down, Jackrabbits, a pickup of 11 or 12 on the play.
In
So they're hurting you via the pass and the run right now.
And the run.
Compton has no answer.
But they're mixing it up. They're showing Compton various different offensive formations. They came in a couple of plays ago, what they call 12 personnel, 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and that's more of a power running game. And off of that, the play action really seems to come alive. That play, they simply ran the fullback into a wing spot, motioned him back into the backfield. Poly is having their way, and you can almost foresee that they're prepping at this point for what can come once they reach the Pac-5 playoffs.
Fennell over center. Westbrook still in the backfield. Number 34, keep an eye on him. The fullback lined up in the flat. Oh, short pass, and look at, take a 5-yard pass and turn it into a touchdown. And that's exactly what happened. Randall Cox on the reception.
Sean, we talked about it earlier. That's how Poly rolls. They simply put the ball in their playmakers' hands and let them do what they do. And they've been doing it all night.
And what was a close game, folks? Not so close anymore. The Jackrabbits starting to enforce their will on both sides of the football. Do it through the air, through the ground. It doesn't even matter tonight. The Jackrabbits are coming to play, and the Jackrabbits are sending a message to Compton saying, you know what? The Moore League, it's still ours.
And there's always perception and reality. The reality is when you look at the passing stats, it's going to look a little misleading. But Fennell's done a great job of simply doing what he's been called to do. Managing the game, little small 5-yard hitches turn into big play capabilities.
28-8, your score right now. Remember, this game started off 8-0 Compton, 28 unanswered by the Jackrabbits. And now Compton has got to really gut check themselves with 2:58 left to go here in the third quarter.
And I'm a little surprised because all season long, the Tarbabes on defense have featured man-to-man press coverage, and now they seem to have gone away from the things that have gotten to this point.
And Footage.com Game of the Week is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Check out the new Toyota Prius.
Well, if Toyota showed me as much love as they're showing you, Sean, then I'm sure I'd be rolling with that too right now.
My white Camry from 2003, I just got it out of the shop. It was running like clean as a whistle. I just need the brakes fixed, okay? Because I drive the car for so long.
You souped it up?
No, I didn't. I dropped it a little bit. I put some spinners on it. It was great.
Riding spinners.
No, Toyota's a great dealership. Make sure you check them on out. You get your oil changed there for a very reasonable price. And, you know, unlike Jiffy Lube and some of those other places, they actually change your oil. It's really effective. Anyways, the Jackrabbits going to be kicking off right now. What's the odds Jiffy Lube doesn't sponsor our next broadcast? Hey, look, they're going to be able to return a kick, and that's bad news for Compton. He gets past the first line off the bounce. A little bit of room that time for number 4, Oswaldo Tornero, the junior, 5'6", 137, defensive back, running back. I think they both were surprised it didn't go into the end zone that time. It's the first kickoff of the night for the Jackrabbits. It didn't go in the end zone.
And that's exactly what the Tarbabes need. They just needed something to ignite this group. Now let's see how they respond.
Well, if it would have gone in the end zone, Daryl, it would have been at the 20. Instead, they get it at the 21. I don't know if that's necessarily the spark they were looking for.
But it's just the fact that they were able to touch the ball and gain some positive yardage. Trust me, that's about as much as they've gotten all night in the second half.
All right, we'll see what they do offensively. They go back to the conservative set, the wing T set. See if they get Green the ball and get him an opportunity to be successful. They give it to the up man that time, Hartnett, and he gets nowhere.
And you can really see that this defense is dialed up. They pin their ears back, and they're starting to blitz with stunts. With that 4-4 stack that I talked about, really it's gap protection, gap sound. Going to be very difficult for them to stay in this wing T set and have some success.
On the bright side for things for Compton, Roderick Ziegler and Jensen Watson, 2 seniors off this team, are 50 and number 8. Both were on the homecoming court. Neither one of them actually won the crown, but nevertheless, they were on the homecoming court.
And that just says a lot about the student body and the fact that this football team means so much to this school, and the success of this program is very infectious.
Green tries to get to the outside. He fumbles the football. It's recovered by the Jackrabbits. It just went from bad to worse for Compton. And now there's a 15-yard penalty assessed to the Jackrabbits for spinning the ball. But nevertheless, it still will be Jackrabbit ball.
Now, where do you go from here if you're the Tarbabes? You know, you come into this game, you got a lot of momentum going. Things don't seem to go your way.
Compton.
Yeah.
Oh, correction. That goes against Compton that threw the ball.
Things aren't going your way.
And there's an injury down on the field. We can't see it from our vantage point who is down for Compton, but both training staffs are out there on the football field. It is 28-8 with 2:10 left to go.
And it seems like the crowd is chanting more points.
Well, they're hoping for more points, but right now, many people on the other sideline are just hoping that the injured Compton player is going to be okay. Again, we can't see from our vantage point who it is or how much they are down or where they're working on, but 28-8 with 2:10 left to go here in the third. Donald Green getting assistance off the field, and if you're Compton, remember how I just said things went from bad to worse? Well, now I guess went from worse to terrible, because you can't afford to lose Green, the best offensive weapon, best player on this Compton team tonight on this field.
Accumulating for approximately 80% of this offense. That is a big blow. So you really hope that Coach Brian will come back and really open up the offense, allow Griffin to start really passing the ball. I mean, you have to see what the kid is capable of doing at this point.
Well, you can't be one-dimensional. By the way, they're not matched up too well with the wide receivers out here just yet for Long Beach Poly. And we've got penalty flags before we get going on this time. It was going to be a handoff. Robinson was in the backfield. So ball spotted at the 21-yard line. Make a correction. Mark that at the 10-yard line with 2:09 left to go. So we'll see what the penalty is here, the ruling on the field. Things really going the way for the Jackrabbits right now.
Inside the 10-yard line, again, Poly can come out and really do anything at this point. I'd like to see them get maybe back to the running game, because that's what it's going to take to be successful in the Pac-5 playoffs. Being able to run the ball inside the 20 and really assert themselves.
They got a little soldier boy going on right now. A little crank that. The Jackrabbits have been cranking that since pretty much they got scored upon in their opening drive. Fumble on the play, picked up defensively by Compton. Well, how about that? They throw it out to the flat, and the ball is fumbled by number 7, Eric Vaughn.
Christopher Metcalf picking that ball up right there.
And what a big play. He had open field in front of him, but as so often, the speed of the Jackrabbits able to bring it back down.
But as we just mentioned, that Green is now out of this offense. So how do you make up for his production as a runner, his production as a game breaker, for that matter?
Well, and that's the problem now. They're going to probably lean a little bit heavier on Curry Williams. We've talked about how he's been looking to try to get more involved in this offense. You can also imagine that Hartnett is going to get more involved as well.
Yeah, Green averaging 13 yards per run and accumulating, going into this game, over 1,600 yards of offense.
Well, Williams has been real quiet. He's also rushed for over 1,000 yards this season, and he hasn't been able to get involved in the offense. They hit him the ball this time. Tries to get to the outside of the corner. Cuts it back up short and gets stuffed up. Maybe a gain of 2 on the play.
And you have to wonder if that's why they took him off of special teams, to rest him up, because they realized that going into this fourth quarter, or late in the third, that they're really going to need him, and they're going to need him to really step up and fill in the role for Green.
Under 2 minutes left to go here in the third quarter. Capacity crowd. In fact, there are people lining the street outside the fences to watch this one. One of the more highly anticipated matchups in recent Moore League history. I remember a couple of years ago, Lakewood had a very solid squad. Luther Brown was anchoring that defense. The Jackrabbits went to play them. They thought they had a chance to maybe upset the Jackrabbits. In the end, we all know now, with that 71-game win streak that looks like it's going to go to 72 here tonight, that things didn't necessarily go the way that Lakewood thought, just as things haven't gone the way that Compton would have hoped for tonight.
Which makes it this 71-game consecutive winning streak in the Moore League that much more remarkable, for the simple fact that year in and year out, Poly is able to produce a product that goes deep into the playoffs and that competes year in and year out for a CIF and now a state championship. Well, if you're Compton, it's like Haley's Comet coming around when you have a team that can compete viably.
Right.
So again.
Well, and I think, my alma mater, even though I was a basketball guy, De La Salle, Concord De La Salle, the streak, which is what it's known as, 151 consecutive games for the De La Salle Spartans. That run stuffed in the background for the Compton. But 151 consecutive wins for Concord De La Salle.
Consecutive wins.
I mean, it puts it into perspective. And when those two teams and those two programs matched up twice,
yes.
De La Salle won both those contests.
Sure.
But the respected admiration, I think, from both teams and both programs was that, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We just did something special.
Exactly.
We did something that had never been done before. Number one versus number two in the country.
Yep.
And both programs have maybe not had the greatest of times in their program history in the last couple of years. Jackrabbits maybe losing a couple games. Concord De La Salle, their streak gets broken.
Absolutely.
They still win the sectional championships, but lose last year to Canyon in the state championships. They both remained at a very elite level. They both continue to be ranked nationally. And year in and year out, even with different pieces, they have success. Griffin trying to pass. He's got nothing going. Pressure's coming. Able to get past the line of scrimmage and pick up a couple, and they're going to flag him for a late hit, and that's going to bring out the jeers from the Long Beach Poly Jackrabbits claw. But getting back to those two programs specifically, and the reason why I bring up my alma mater is not because they beat Long Beach Poly twice, but because there's a standard that has been set by both of these schools. In Southern California, the standard. I know people look at modern day and people look at Olu and the success that they've had recently. Mission Viejo, Christian, and their success, even though they play virtually nobody on a consistent basis. The Jackrabbits have gone out and they've challenged themselves. They've challenged themselves against the best, and they've had success against the best.
Absolutely, and one can make the argument that with as much talent as Poly has and at the skill players, the skill positions, the one area that has always been a concern since Chris Lewis has left this program is the quarterback spot. Finding and developing a quarterback. And this team will always go as far as the quarterback spots takes them, because a quarterback does at Long Beach Poly, they're not asked to win games, they're asked to facilitate and distribute.
They're asked not to lose the game, essentially. I mean, let's be honest. You get the ball out 5 yards and you let your playmakers make plays. You hand the ball off, you let them run for 25 yards behind that big offensive line. Griffin looking to pass, and I tell you why they don't pass, because it just doesn't look very pretty. Intercepted that time by the Jackrabbits, but the interception is fumbled, and it looks as if it's recovered by Compton, and that'll be a first down for Compton off of the turnover of the turnover.
Just what a great play. I mean, just what a heads-up play. You know, Compton had it at that point, could have put their head down and it just really kind of submitted and just given up.
Justin Brown, number 52, was the man that jumped on the ball right there.
What a second effort. I mean, the interception that was done by Leon Manning, only to be turned around, you know.
Well, hey, you know what? For Compton, they need a couple of breaks right now as we wind down with 7 seconds left to go here in the third quarter, trailing by 20. Homecoming night, undefeated season, respect in the state polls all on the line for Compton. Of course, for Long Beach Poly, it's business as usual. This could be the final play, most likely will be the final play. Curry Williams gets the pitch, takes it up 3 yards. It gets absolutely stuffed and leveled at the line of scrimmage by the Jackrabbits, and that'll do it here for the third quarter. We move to the fourth, 28-8 in favor of the Jackrabbits. As we start the fourth quarter, a 20-point lead for Long Beach Poly. Daryl, talking about this program of Long Beach Poly, Coach Laura, the one thing, I think the criticism that has come his way, at times this has been an undisciplined team. But last 2 seasons, it seems like the Jackrabbits have really turned the corner and have become a much more disciplined football team and have limited their own mistakes and are playing a better brand of football than they have in the past.
And you make a great point there. One of the knocks and one of the concerns as an alum of Poly that I had is that you're oversaturated with talent. Sometimes you can rely too much on that talent.
The up back gets the ball and brought down immediately. It'll bring up a 3rd and long situation for Compton. And they're in go time right now, and we're not seeing go time out of this offense.
No.
And you wonder if you're Calvin Bryant, you're sitting there on the sideline, you had such high hopes for this game. You thought maybe this was going to be the statement, the signature win that Compton was lacking on their resume this year. But right now, they legitimately are out there looking at themselves going, you know what? We're not as good as Long Beach Poly.
No.
We're not going to win this game. But maybe it's something they can take away from this game as the season progresses, because they are going to make the playoffs.
They are going to make the playoffs.
Just maybe they match back up somewhere along the line down in the playoffs, and maybe they learn something from this game and what they need to do.
But see, when you're talking about a program that doesn't have that's lost its tradition and lost its way, the one thing that Coach Bryant said coming into this game was, we're going to do what we do it may be a limited offensive play calling or play selection, but we're going to do it well, and we're just going to try to out-execute our opponent.
Well, I think the one thing you take away from this program, this game, is if you're going to compete,
yes,
and you're going to compete against the upper echelon teams in Southern California, which you'll have to do in the playoffs, you can't be a one-dimensional team.
No, because nowadays these coaches are getting very sophisticated. You look at the Orange County schools, the Mater Deis, the Mission Viejos, Orange Lutherans. They're incorporating collegiate and professional offenses, and they're implementing that at this level. And that's why we're seeing the likes of guys like Dane Christ from Sherman Oaks, Notre Dame.
Nice kick that time. Going to get a favorable roll. Picked up, though. Telemac got a couple moves. He's got no one in front of him. He's got one man to beat. Can he do it? He jumps over the top, and he's taken down. But penalty flags throwing on the play. A couple of big blocks on the near sideline sprung him and took him all the way down inside the 20-yard line. However, penalty marker is officially down at the 42-yard line.
And if you're Don Telemac, you're feeling larger than life right now. And that's the type of run that you've been hoping for all night. He nearly took that thing to the house.
On the return on Polly.
And things not sounding good, at least from the Donald Green perspective, as they've just called for his family to come down to the sideline. He's been continued to be worked on since he was taken off the field midway through the third quarter.
And we can hope only for the best for
Never want to
Green.
speculate, but you never want to have your family get called over the PA system and told, hey, you need to get on down to the sideline, because usually that means it's a little bit more than just a sprain. But hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully he's going to be all right, because certainly he's a very talented young man, and you would absolutely hate to see a senior season, one that has certainly been as solid as his, end on a night like this, and on a play like that.
Yeah, and he seems to be the emotional leader of this team. So, and right now,
and how deflated has this team looked?
Right now,
since
the
he's
team
gone
looks
to the
very
sideline?
deflated since he's gone to the sideline. You know, with this play, his big spark and his charisma on the field, it seems to spark and ignite this team. And right now, we're starting to see some heads hanging.
Well, their heads can't hang too long, because they've got this Long Beach Poly offense back out on the football field. The handoff up the middle. Jones.
What a great play by Dante Jones.
Dayton Jones gets into the backfield in a big, big way.
And Jones, again, you know, he's such a great athlete and tremendous athlete. This defense has to figure out a way to get him free in the backfield, because when he is in the backfield, he only causes havoc. And if he does decide, wherever he decides to go, and right now it seems that he seems to be favoring UCLA with the verbal commitment, they're going to get a special player.
Green, please report to the sideline.
Jackrabbits, 2nd and 10. No gain on the first play. Jones trying to dial it up. He's right here in front of you. They trap block him, and they're able to pick up a couple of yards. Clock still running.
And take
it down to under 9 minutes before the next snap.
And Sean, coming into this game, the coaches for Long Beach Poly thought that they saw something with Dayton Jones. They thought that perhaps he split out a little too wide, and they were going to try to run underneath them. But one of the adjustments that's been made is Jones has been shifted over inside, a little tighter to the action. And now that gap that Poly once thought they had, that little bubble, if you will, isn't there. This is something that Dayton is going to have to continue to do if they're going to keep this game respectable.
Well, timeout being called by Long Beach Poly. Coach Laura going to talk it over with his team.
For Donald Green.
3rd and 8.
Thank you.
And not good news is the ambulance is getting dialed up right now, and they're preparing to take it over to the sideline area. And one can assume it's for Donald Green, and that's never a good sign when the ambulance comes into play here.
Let's hope that it's a little precaution. Again,
well, they continue to page one of his family members to try to get down to the sideline. You would hope that they'd be able to get down there quick enough to be able to find out what's going on with Donald before he has to get transferred here. But again, maybe that overshadows all of Compton's success this year if something is indeed that seriously wrong with Donald Green. Footage.com, the game of the week, is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. 8:45 left to go here in the contest, 28-8 in favor of the Jackrabbits.
And that's a part of the game that you never You hope that never happens. You hope that it's a clean game and guys are able to walk off on their own merits. And when a game is out of hand like this, and it's only, granted, Poly's only up by 20 points, but it has that feel that Poly is truly controlling this game. And the wind has been let out of the sail for this Tarbabes defense and Tarbabes team for that matter.
So it'll be 3rd and long here for the Jackrabbits, and you wonder why the team looks so deflated for Compton. Well, even on this play, it's a big 3rd down play. They need to get a big stop. The blinding lights coming off of the far sideline are that of an ambulance that they know is taking away a main cog to this team, the main offensive feature.
Please report to the sideline.
And it has to be very distracting for these players as they...
The handoff straight up the middle. Jackrabbits just trying to simply run this one out. Gets close to a 1st down. Looks like he'll be a half a yard short. And you wonder if you're Coach Laura, do you go for it here and just try to continue to burn some time off the clock?
You know, I think in all fairness and showmanship.
And we've got somebody down for Compton. And really, the training staff of Long Beach Poly out there first, because the training staff for Compton is dealing with getting Donald Green into the ambulance right now.
And we talked about things going from bad to worse. This is clearly not the way that the coaches or even the administration for this school figured that their homecoming would be.
Justin Brown getting assistance walking off the field for Compton. 28-8, your score right now. It's a 4th and about a little bit less than a yard. Look, it appears as if the Jackrabbits are indeed going to go for it here.
And Sean, you have to wonder if fatigue is starting to take its toll on the Tarbabes.
I don't think I wonder anymore, Daryl.
Yeah.
I think I know. I mean, you just see them. I don't know if it's the emotional. And the other thing too is, you know this, when you're a player and it's more than a 1st down, nobody's in front of him. He's going to the end zone. He gone. Touchdown. Jackrabbits. They give it to the up back. And look, that's not rubbing it in. They ran a dive. They just didn't get a stop, and it's a touchdown for Long Beach Poly.
You don't expect your fullback to have as much speed as a tailback. McKaylee, in that case, it looked like one of the world-class sprinters of this Jackrabbits team right there. You can really, again, you can't really say that the Jackrabbits are trying to rub it in. When you give a dive play, you expect the dive play to perhaps go for 2 or 3 yards. That was not the case.
No, that one did not go for 2 or 3 yards. That went to the house. And now we're looking at a 35-8 score. And what was expected to be a very close game is anything but close right now. This one is pretty much in the books. I think if you're Compton, you want to get out of this game with no more injuries.
Yeah.
And you want to get out of this game and say, you know what, guys, hey, we'll fight another day. It's just not going to be today.
And for both parties, now is when you start making your substitutions, keeping your starters healthy, allowing them to sit on the sideline, chew on some sunflower seeds, and eat and drink Gatorade. You want to get some of the younger guys experience for either next year or for the playoffs, because you're going to need everyone on that roster come Pac-5 playoffs.
Well, I think if there was ever a time to keep your starters in, actually, for Compton and try to find out and start to develop somewhat of a passing game, it'd be right now. I don't know if they have it in their playbook. I haven't seen it tonight. We haven't seen them, sit back in a shotgun formation and pass out of it with any level of comfort whatsoever. As Donald Green's ambulance, by the way, is starting to leave the facility. And again, we wish him nothing but the best tonight. And he'll be in our thoughts, and hopefully for the talented senior, his season doesn't end like this. But nevertheless, for Compton, if you were going to leave your starters in, that's the one thing you want to do, right, Daryl?
Yes, Sean. And right now, even if it's not in your playbook, you get on the sideline. You
start drawing things up in the sand. Run to the guy in the green shirt and turn right.
Exactly. I mean, now you go back to sandlot football.
The kickoff goes in the end zone. Actually, it's retrieved right at the 1. Crossing the 40. Brought down to the 30-yard line. I meant to say the 20, not the 40, but brought down to the 30.
Oswaldo Tornero ran like a tornado at that point.
Yeah, a nice play by Tornero.
If you're the Tarbabes at this point, you got to start looking for like little moral victories. establish the passing game. Even if it's use Polley's formula for that matter. Throw 5-yard hitches. Just establish something so you can move forward, because this is not the type of game you want your opponents to see. You don't want them to see that what happens when you become one-dimensional.
The ironic thing is the Long Beach Poly cheerleading squad is yelling overrated, but Long Beach Poly's been rated higher than Compton all year long.
All year long. So, these are not the most knowledgeable cheerleaders here.
You're the team that's rated higher. I've never really seen that. That'd be the equivalency of, say, UCLA fans chanting that tonight at their exhibition game for basketball over Azusa Pacific. Hey, there's a handoff. That's something odd that we haven't seen out of Compton's game yet. That's a pickup of about 4.
I'm starting to wonder if you're Griffin, if your arm is getting tired of extending.
Your arm is getting tired from extending. How about moving it up above your shoulder and trying to throw a pass? That would probably help too. Look, I like to see the ball move down the field here a little bit. And the Jackrabbits are obviously stacking the box. Without Green, let's start to see some of the passing game here. Let's open up a 5-yard out, a slant, a wide receiver screen, a lateral.
Yeah. And Sean, you asked
something.
Sometimes it's very difficult when you're playing against the wing T, but let's face it, if you're seeing the same plays over and over again, after a while...
It's a pass, and it's intercepted.
What a great play. What a great play by Darius Williams-Fox.
Coach Bryant, if you're watching this game, I want to let you know I'll never get on to you about passing the football again. I promise.
Oh, you gotta love these DBs. You gotta love these DBs by Poly. They waited all night for one pass to go in the air, and they took advantage of it.
Well, I tell you what, this game has certainly not gone the way Compton would have hoped it to go for.
Darius Williams-Fox, you got to give the kid credit. He read the eyes of Griffin the whole way
I thought
through.
It was going to be complete. I really did. I saw the ball in the air. I saw the receiver standing there. The problem was he didn't lead the receiver. Came up a little bit short, and that's when the defensive back can make the play.
Well, it's not quite what we were thinking, but whatever the case, Tarbabes have to figure out a way to respond.
Footage.com, it's Sean Farnham, it's Darryl Rideau, and Mr. Jones. Dayton Jones with the big stop in the backfield. That'll bring up 2nd down and 11 with the score 35-8 with a shade under 7 left to go here in Compton.
And as talented as Dayton Jones is, one man is just not enough. I mean, this is a big offensive line that just molds him. But ever so often, he finds his way in the backfield, tries to ignite this defense, and then they need more of it moving forward, even after this game. I mean, there's still a lot of football left ahead of this group.
A demoralizing loss, though, as the stands are really emptying it out across the way. Compton fans already ready to go home and get ready for homecoming, I guess, tomorrow night.
And, Sean, Poly's doing the right thing. They're running the ball, they're pounding it, and they're just really trying to eke time off this clock and try to keep it respectable.
Well, this game on Footage.com, the game of the week, is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Check out the new Toyota 4Runner or the Toyota Highlander Hybrid. Go green. Al Gore would like it. As we continue to roll, under 6 minutes left to go here on Long Beach Poly, 35-8. Having the ball, it's 3rd down and long. They'll probably run a dive play. Nope, it's off tackle. And it's Mr. Johnson. He gets to the outside. He gets a gain of about 20 yards. And that'll be a 1st down for the Jackrabbits.
And again, it probably just keeps coming at you with running backs. No matter who seems to touch the ball, it seems like they're all having success.
1st and 10.
What can you do other than take a knee if you're Long Beach Poly to keep this game respectable at this point?
Well, you can't really do a whole heck of a lot. The motorcycles are leaving, though. They've been here all night driving around the track. Some of them have DVD players on their dashboard. I wonder if that's legal. I'd probably say no.
The colors look like something off of Fast and the Furious.
Here's a handoff straight up the middle, and it's a stop. No gain on the play. Bring up a 2nd down and 10 for the Jackrabbits. Can we get a shot of the motorcycles? Give me a shot of the motorcycles. Motorcycles have got some flavor. They've got some flair to them. We've got the lime green. I think that's a nice one. The fuchsia one right behind it, though, I think has a lot of flavor. Even the wheel spokes are fuchsia. You got to like that.
And they call Compton StubHub City.
Yeah, there you go.
So
It's not like the ticket broker StubHub, right?
not like the ticket broker StubHub.
Okay, I just,
No, they call it that because
no, not so much.
Compton is centrally located.
Johnson up the middle. Gain of maybe 3 on the play. Bring up a 3rd down opportunity here for the Jackrabbits.
Compton is surrounded by 4 freeways.
All right, so if you're the Jackrabbits, you win the Moore League Championship essentially here tonight, barring a tremendous upset here in the next couple of weeks. Business as usual for the Jackrabbits. For Compton, you know, hey, look, it's a successful season thus far. They're going to turn to 8-1. Remember, this team was 8-4 last year. You don't want to be 8-2 though. How do you shake off a loss like this on your home field against the Jackrabbits?
You know, I think you almost have to treat Poly as its own team. I mean, that's a game you circle on the, and that's not a game where really, that's not how you measure yourself. You know that Poly is a team to beat. Moving forward, if you're the Tarbabes, you have to recognize that you are a good team. There's a reason why you were able to you're successful in 8 games and with no defeats. Yeah, you're not quite at that level of Poly yet where you moving forward, you're going to have that type of success.
Right.
But you still have a lot of talent. And let's hope that Green is able to help you come next week.
Well, you know, Ryan Goforth Jr., the sophomore, is in at quarterback for Long Beach Poly. And a timeout has been called on the field with 4:01 left to go. 35-8. Jackrabbits. A situation that apparently has turned much more severe than originally first thought on the far sideline. 2 ambulances has been called in to the sideline here at Compton, and yet another player from Compton will be going to the hospital tonight. And again, just one of those situations where it looked like it was nothing from our vantage point, Daryl, as Long Beach Poly picks up the first down, which seems completely irrelevant at this stage of the game.
Yeah.
Up 35-8 with 3:41 left to go. And it looked like it was just somebody that got knocked down on the far sideline, but obviously much more severe situation going on the far sideline. In fact, they called in a second ambulance from Compton to be able to come out here and assist with the medical needs on the far sideline. So again, you know, our well wishes go out to the Compton family, who tonight has taken more than just a loss on the football field. They've lost 2 players to the hospital, and that's something you never, and I mean never want to see at the high school level.
You know, and although play has resumed, one of the more difficult situations is what happens on the sideline.
Right.
As the play starts to make its way to the sideline, oftentimes as an innocent bystander, you can be standing and find yourselves either getting whiplashed, as we saw in the case of Joe Paterno years past, where he broke his leg on the sideline.
Yes.
You know, it's a situation you can never anticipate or even prepare for.
Well, and the thing about it now is, I mean, you look at everybody from Compton. I mean, it's shell shock. It's shell shock because gone is 2 of their teammates, and you know, in a football team, they feel like it's family.
Yes.
I mean, you train together, you sweat together, you bleed together, you cry together, and it looks like it's going to be another touchdown for the Jackrabbits. Ricky Johnson gets in the end zone for a second time today, but again, doesn't matter at this point in time of the game.
It really does.
2:54 left to go, and it looks like it's pretty severe. We're trying to get an update right now. So 41-8 pending the extra point here, Daryl.
We don't know which player it is, but it seems like one of the players hurt their lower back. Either a back sprain, is suffering back spasms at this point of some degree. Not really sure to what extent, but maybe take a helmet to it. But that's what we're being told, back spasms.
Well, hopefully it is just back spasms. Again, two ambulances called in to the field and had difficulty moving in for quite some time. And anytime it's a back injury, you got to be very, very cautious here, especially at the high school level.
And anything around the spine, you know, you take a lot of caution. But that's something that, you know, injuries do occur on the football field. But I don't know if I've ever seen this many ambulance or paramedics have to cart players off the field.
I've never seen anything like this, Daryl, and I've been around the high school game for a real long time, watching these games and covering games in Southern California, and certainly It has been something that we've rarely seen. 2 ambulances having to be used in one game tonight. 42-8 your score right now. Jackrabbits in the lead, and for Compton again, really just get out of the game. I mean, at this point
really,
in time, you have
deflating.
all your starters should be on the sideline. The injury bug is certainly out there tonight for them. Run the ball, dive.
Yes.
Hope that the Jackrabbits, I don't think Raul Laura is going to be calling any timeouts here. But just run this clock out and get back in the locker room and say, guys, you know what? It's not even about a loss anymore. It's about our teammates.
It's about our teammates. And at this point, health is truly a concern, and the players seem to be very distracted, and rightfully so. We talked about, their captains, their partners in crime on the football field are now injured and wounded, and these players cannot wait to get off the field to rally around their teammates.
As homecoming night here has turned very sour on the campus of Compton, 42-8. The band for Compton marching off the field already with 2:54 left to go on the clock. And mostly everybody that was in attendance at one time, sold out crowd. The stands virtually empty at this point in time. And this one, Tenero, gets brought down and planted at the 20-yard line.
And Sean, in a blowout game like this,
Number 4,
injuries do occur.
with the return.
If you're the coaches for the Tarbabes, you're telling your players, okay, there's only 2:42. We may take a knee, but make sure you continue to play hard. You don't ease up to prevent further injuries.
Well, and Coach Bryan has elected to send out his starters. All of his starters out on the field in a 42-8 game with 2:42, and the injuries that have already been amassed by Compton. Do you question the move, Daryl?
At this point, I really do, because you cannot afford to lose. There are more games outside of this one to come. You cannot afford to lose any more starters. We've seen what happened. You lost 3 players. And you're still running your starters. Even if they're going to run a quick dive play, anything can happen at this point.
Well, and we saw it. I mean, let's be honest. The injury to Green, Donald Green, he goes to the outside, a simple handoff.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was trying to do anything special. The ball actually got stripped out on the play, but he just took a heavy shot, and now he's got some cracked ribs and is in a hospital right now.
And is in the hospital right now. And so it's a very questionable
We thank Kevin
call.
Milwaukee, by the way, once again, going over to the sideline and trying to find out that information. He was able to obtain the information about the back spasms or the concern in the back area. We don't want to speculate on which player it was for Compton because we don't know. And certainly, again, we just hope that at the end of this game tonight, the final score in the newspaper will be 42-8. But the hope of everybody, even I think those Jackrabbit faithful,
Yes.
is going to be for the players that were